how's it going? This is Kyle from the TF Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Combiner Wars Combiner Hunters. This is, of course, the retooling of the Fembots based on the IDW comic series Combiner Hunters, as the three Fembots are now a little more grudgy and a little bit more hardcore as they continue to search Cybertron, destroying the Combiner menace. Taking a quick look at the packaging, it's very minimalistic. It's been very simply done. On the front, you just have a nice large piece of artwork with a nice metallic finish on the Transformers logo. On the side, you've got just the plain current generation's Transformers logo. And on this side, of course, it wouldn't be a Combiner Wars product without the big, sexy Combiner Wars logo on the side. The back, there's not very much. It does say Combiner Hunters right here. And there's a nice spot UV finish that says Transformers right across. It's almost impossible to see. And it's got almost a map of the world. You can see Cybertron down here and Earth is up here. And there's sort of like a plane with stars. It's really hard to see. I do not know if you can see it at all because it's hard to see in person, really. But it's cool if you notice it. A lot of people might not. Now, removing the slip cover off the packaging, we can see, well, there's the figures themselves. And we have Windblade, Chromia, and Arcee with their massive Combiner Hunter weapons, as well as their regular standard weapons, which kind of surprised me. And then down here we have the Combiner Hunter logo. And on the back, yet another beautifully animated image of Windblade, Chromia, and Arcee done in a really nice spot UV reflective finish. Now, we all know Hasbro has been very creative with the instruction manuals for Combiner Wars so far, but I believe this set has to take the cake with instruction manual creativity. It serves as a poster which has a really nice image of all three of the Combiner Hunters, as you can see. And it also has various planets and various targets or Combiners that they're currently hunting. For example, this planet has Bruticus, and it's got the location, unstable rock planet, threat level, low, life forms detected. On this one, you're hunting Devastator and Menasor. This is, of course, Cybertron. Right here, you've got a nice image of Unicron, which may or may not be an Easter egg to an eventual Titan-class Unicron figure. And it also shows each of the weapons and gives a better description of their weapons and what it is they do. And, of course, opposite this poster, you've got the instruction manuals for the Combiner Hunters, Windblade, Chromia, and Arcee, done in a very kind of a retro color looking design. I'm not sure why they went with that, but you know, it is what it is, and here are the three images of the nice girls right there. So yeah, let's go ahead, let's take a look at these figures, and let's, play around with them for a bit. Starting with Chromia, we can see she's of course now molded in black with pink accents. This is the only figure of the three to actually receive any sort of mold alterations. Her hands have been completely retooled to now fit a 5mm shaft, whereas the original one was more designed so that it could hold the weapons that were included, so it was like a slot. Now she does come with two of her swords. They're molded in a light teal blue plastic. Now, because of the molded hands, it's a lot harder to get these into the hands, but you can do it. You just have to kind of work around it a little bit more before you would just slide it right in. But now you do need to finnick around and, try not to break the hands while you're at it. But it does become more difficult. Let that be known. Getting more into the detail, we can see she's got metallic silver feet, lots of metallic pink chromed detail bits like on the side and right here on her fenders, and a lot of new pink accents on her chest and her head, and on the back, again, some new pink accents with a little bit of blue and a little bit of gray kind of splotched in there. Articulation is the same. She's got a ball joint on the arm, an upper bicep swivel. Her elbows are ratcheted, but they do have a really nice range of motion, so you can get a lot of posability. No waist swivels. Her legs are still on these kind of bizarre almost SH Figuarts-esque joints where you can get, again, a lot of posability out of them. You just have to adjust it. Knees are on a single joint, but again, a lot of movement right there. And the feet are just on a regular joint like that, and she does have a thigh swivel as well. So she does have a lot of posability, the same amount of posability as before. The coolest feature, I think, is this little Autobot logo right here that's molded into her face. I'm not sure how well I can get that on camera, but it's right there, and it looks so cool. Now for her combiner weapon, she does come with this, which is called the Combiner Slayer, and it is absolutely ridiculous. It is bigger than the figure itself. It's molded in black and gray plastic, and it has a real nice sparkly finish to it. I don't know if it comes off on camera, but in person it does add a bit to it. Almost impossible to pose her in any decent poses with it without having to do, you know, something kind of like this, where she can stand and hold it behind her head, which I like to do. Again, lots of balancing is required. It's a little bit more difficult to dual wield it. I wish she could dual wield it, but because her hands don't have any articulation, they don't rotate at all, it really makes things difficult, and it's a bit of a downer because it does kind of hurt the ability to dual wield this, and with a sword this big, you kind of need to dual wield it. This is about the coolest thing you'll get out of a dual wield, and that kind of stinks. But she can definitely hold it with one hand and get all sorts of crazy poses, especially with the nice ratcheted elbows. And lastly, here are the two Arcee figures next to each other. They both actually kind of complement each other really well, since this one's primarily white, and this one, since this one is primarily white with pink accents, and this one is primarily black with pink accents. They kind of are like a yin and yang thing they got going on, and that I can dig. I can dig. Next up is Windblade, and we can see, for the most part, apart from, you know, molding in new colors, Windblade is now a dark red color versus the vibrant red of her first release, and a lot of the new paint details are in her chest and head, with some nice tamper-graphed lines across the front of her chest, which looks really good, and now some gold accents on her feet. I didn't think it was possible, but they somehow managed to make her face look a little bit more samurai-ish than she originally looked. Oh, and also let it be known that the feet are still absolutely terrible. They were terrible before, they're still terrible. This is still one of the hardest figures to stand. It is by far the hardest figure of this 3 set. You do always need to kind of lean her forward to justify for the heels that they some reason put there. I don't know. I wish they would have made that improvement. I don't know how much it would have cost, but would have been nice. Now she does come with her sword, and this is the same sword that was originally released, but it's got a lot of the same premium paint love that the figure itself got, with now red and gold, very Iron Man-ish color scheme. And the sword itself, which was once a gradient, is now just a plain turquoise blue sword. And much like the original release, this one also can tab right there into her leg. And I think that right there is more than enough to arm her. But, knowing that this is the Combiner Hunters line, now for her Combiner killer weapon, she comes with the Spectre Spear. And the Spectre Spear is just molded in this gray plastic with the gold, with this kind of a goldish, tannish looking highlight spray painted on at each end. This could be Combiner Blood, whatever you want to call it. And this does actually fit into her hands really well. She can dual wield it due to her wrist swivels. You can see she can really hold it really well. And she can stand with it as well too. It's kind of cool. I feel like if you're going to pose her with a Combiner, you have to put her right at the top and have this jamming down into like Devastator's arm. That is sweet. And yeah, that basically does it for Windblade. Here's just a quick comparison with her original release. To be completely honest, I like the color scheme of this one more. I just wish it would have had the same paint budget as this one. I think this would have been one of my favorite figures despite, you know, its obvious problems. Last, but certainly not least, is Chromia, which is my personal favorite of the Combiner Hunters line. This figure got so much love, and it just looks absolutely stunning. The amount of silver paint that was put on this toy, I don't think I've ever seen Hasbro put this much silver paint, especially back here in the tail, on any release, especially a deluxe figure release. And she's got silver on her knees, silver on her arms, silver right here in her exhaust, silver on her chest, and of course the whole back is literally painted in silver. Even this back part right here, which isn't really even meant to be seen, done in silver. So really, really amazing job Hasbro did on this figure. I think it is absolutely stunning. Her windows and her wheel and all the translucent bits were done in a red plastic for whatever reason. Not sure why they chose that decision, since the plastic was originally used to make the wheels look like they're levitating and whatnot. Obviously, that's not the case for this figure. It's fine, it's just a minor nitpick, but I love it. Oh, now she also does come with the same weapon, the same blaster that her retail release got. Right here, she can go ahead and peg it right there in her hands, pose it, you know, do whatever she wants with it, and just let it fly off. Now, her combiner weapon is also the best of the three. It is this sword, which is called the Windblade. And she can dual wield it due to having a ball joint in her wrist. And everything about this is just pure love. I love this figure. I love everything about this figure. The Windblade looks so cool. It's got this detail right here. This is obviously how many combiners she's killed so far. And this is, you know, Devastator's chest printed on like 5 times. And I thought that was a really cool little detail. I guess she just has to kill more Devastators, or more combiners in general. For articulation, same articulation. Arms are on a ball joint, but they're hindered back here. She's got a real nice ball joint right here. Upper bicep swivel, her hands are on a ball joint. Her legs are on a ball joint, but they're hindered by this nice, beautiful looking silver bit. Bend at the knee, and no feet articulation at all, actually. And now for a quick comparison with the original retail release, we can see obviously not quite as much, really not half as much paint, detail, or love from this figure. And I love the way the Combiner Hunters Chromia looks. It is awesome. And there they are together. So, last but not least, here we have the Combiner Hunters in their vehicle modes. And I do have to say, Chromia continues to be my favorite. Starting with Chromia, she is just gorgeous blue, metallic blue, chrome, metallic blue, metallic silver, red, white. Oh, it just looks so amazing. I love this figure. This might be one of my favorite Transformer figures ever. Because it just looks so epic. Here we have now, taking a look, we can see a lot of paint detail now on the vehicle mode. Again, on the bottom, not much, just black, except for, you know, these two little detail bits. And we can see with Windblade. Now, while we're on the subject of Windblade, I think it's worth noting this mold does not age very well. This, at least the original one, was really a lot harder than it needed to be, just due to the cheaper plastic they used. A lot of the joints ended up breaking or, you know, kind of filing themselves to a point where it's almost completely untransformable. And that's really a sad thing, because this is such a unique figure. And I'm 99% sure the same thing is going to happen to this one. And speaking of this one, we can see it's now done in Iron Man colors. Quite literally, we've got the hot rod red and the gold details on the bottom. You know, same Windblade details. The fans, they do the same thing where they can rotate forward. You can have her fly like that. That looks pretty sweet if you ask me. And yeah, now comparing it with their original mode, with their original release, we can again see the overall improvements, just how much better this one is than the original one. It just looks so great. And Arcee, right here. Again, we can see just how much extra paint apps they used on the San Diego Comic-Con release. And I think they both look awesome, and they both complement each other really well. Kind of like this is like the naughty sister. Okay, sorry. This is becoming a porno now. And last but not least, we've got Windblade. And I love the color schemes. It's the mold that really bugs me. The mold is just, ugh. And yeah, so that basically does it for this look at the Combiner Wars, Combiner Hunters. And here are my thoughts. I believe the set is a great little set when you take into account everything that you're getting. We're getting 3 deluxe figures that have more than premium paint finishes, and they all look great, in a lot of cases better than the original release, which were some of the hardest figures to find last year. You're getting all of the weapons that the original releases came with. You're getting the classy packaging, you're getting the poster, and you're getting the massive Combiner Hunter weapons. And when you think about it, you're really only paying about $25 a figure, which for this is a great deal, and especially for a convention exclusive. So if you are really into the Combiner Wars line, this is an absolute must-buy. And I do believe it is currently available. It wasn't one of the ones that sold out right away on HasbroToyShop.com. So I recommend getting it right now. These figures have so much character. The weapons are great, and when you pose them all up on like Devastator or soon Bruticus, when that eventually comes out, these are really going to complement your Combiners in a way that no other figures can really do, especially with these giant weapons. Anyway, that does it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate for you sticking with me this long. This has been quite a long review, and I hope you really enjoyed it. So without further ado, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a lot more coming, and I hope you are looking forward to them as much as I am looking forward to bringing them to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.